We're going to do some more practice for finding missing sides. So again, we find a problem, so let's look at 122. We find a, we look at it and we say, okay, it's a right triangle. We're going to label the sides across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay, and then here's our reference angle because it's 33 degrees, so across from that is opposite. And then beside it is adjacent. So then we look back, we look at what sides we're dealing with. We're dealing with hypotenuse and adjacent. So we look at our trig functions. Okay, hypotenuse and adjacent. Cosine deals with adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to do cosine of our angle. Cosine of 33 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So that is x over 13. And now we know this is just a decimal, so we're going to treat it like a number. To solve for x, we're going to multiply both sides by 13. And so these 13s will cancel out, and I have x equals 13 times cosine of 33. So I can just put that in as 13 times cosine of 33. That is 10.9. So my side is 10.9. And that kind of makes sense in my diagram because if the hypotenuse is 13, the long leg there looks nearly as long, and 10.9 works out. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at one that deals with tangents. So let's look at 137. 137, right triangle, so across from that is hypotenuse. Okay, here's our reference angle, so here's our opposite, and here's the adjacent. And now we're dealing with opposite and adjacent, and like I said, that is going to be tangent. Tangent is opposite and adjacent. Okay, so tangent of my angle, 64, will equal opposite over adjacent, x over 14. Okay, and so this is just a number, solving for x, so I'll multiply both sides by 14. And I get x equals whatever 14 times tangent of 64 is. And 14 times tangent of 64 is 28.7. 28.7. And that kind of makes sense in our diagram also, because that long leg looks to be about twice as long as the other one. And now also, you'll notice on this problem, we just ended up multiplying both sides by 14, and that solved it. But if we look back at 119, the first problem I did, we had to multiply both sides by x and then divide both sides by our trig function. So you have to look at it carefully, and if your variable is on the top, like in this one, then it's ready to solve. We just multiply both sides by whatever's dividing our variable. If the variable's on the bottom, we have to multiply both tops by the variable to get it on the top, and then divide it by the coefficient, which in this case is going to be a trig function.